Hello everyone who is watching this in the recording. So today, instead of a normal video, I decided to do a live stream. I generally want to do more live streams, and I thought I have to start practicing, right? It's a really nice way as well to just elaborate on a certain topic without spending too much time on it, because making a video and editing and everything, it takes so much longer. So here is my first live stream, and today's live stream is going to be about self-worth and actually how to cultivate unconditional self-worth. It's a really deep topic, and it's not possible to cover everything in one video. And actually, I did a post in Instagram this week about this, and I realized I didn't even scratch the surface with the post. So that's why I wanted to record this video as well. So, what is actually self-worth? It sounds like one of these really huge concepts, but not really clear, like one of those big words: self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, right? Like somewhere all of them are so similar. To me, self-worth is our perception of ourselves, right? What we think of ourselves and how good enough or not good enough we feel in our own skin. And yeah, at least that's how I see it. It's not, a proper definition from a dictionary or anything like that. This is just how I see it. It's how much we value ourselves, right? And actually, I want to talk specifically about self-worth with a condition, feeling worthy with a condition. And what do I mean by that? It's when you feel worthy, or when you feel good enough when you met a certain criteria, when you're meeting a certain criteria. When you're doing something, then you're feeling worthy. If you're not doing it, or you're not doing it well enough, you're not feeling good enough at all. You're not feeling worthy. And well, we will cover that, but this approach and this mindset is very problematic. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and I'm sure that you will resonate with me on this one. I will feel worthy when I get that promotion at my work. I will feel worthy and I will feel good enough when I lose 10 kilos. I will feel worthy and good enough when I make this amount of money per month. I will feel worthy when I have a husband and a kid, for example, or when I get pregnant, right? And we have so many of these messages in our minds about from different aspects of our lives. And yeah, the list can just go on and on with this one. I'm sure that many of you will resonate with me on this one. And the problem is that we're living with this illusion that it's just a little bit more and then I will feel worthy, right? Like it always seems like it's somewhere around the corner, and it's not that far away. We just need to do a little bit more. We just need to work a little bit more or do something a little longer, and then we will reach that point. But if you ever observed your own pattern about this, your own behavior, your own thoughts about this, you will probably notice that this moment never arrives. Like it's impossible to actually meet that criteria, because as soon as you get a little bit closer to it, to meeting this condition, the bar just rises, and it's again a little bit further. And it has nothing to do with external, right? It has nothing to do with external circumstances. We will never feel worthy if we keep thinking that we need to reach this external thing, because it's not about external things. It's about our mindset. It's always about our mindset. And only by working with our mindset, then we can actually feel worthy, but not by actually reaching these things or achieving these things that we made up in our heads, right? It's very important to to realize that, because we can live our whole lives with this illusion, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and then then I will feel good enough with whatever it is. All right. So how do we actually work with that, right? Like, how do we actually work with this mindset? And the first thing, I really invite you to think about your life and try to observe your patterns and areas of your life where you feel, this feeling that you're kind of stuck in the loop of I need more. I need more. When in the end of the day, you're like not satisfied with yourself. When you, in the end of the day, you feel like you didn't do a good enough job. You didn't, I don't know. You think today I actually don't look as good as yesterday. Yesterday I looked prettier, or whatever it is, right? Like, try to observe your behavior and find out what are the areas in your life where you feel this. And I think we have many of them, but I also think that we have certain tendencies to feel this unworthiness in more in some areas than others. So, for example, for me, I grew up with parents who really brought me up in a way to focus on these external achievements, like getting good grades at school, like doing good in sport and doing house chores and this sort of thing. My mother was very like, she had a sports background, so she was really into, like, she put me into sports from a very early age. I was doing gymnastics, and I was always kind of pushed to really, really work a lot in there to be first, to be better than others, because she was kind of giving me that message. And my dad was also very strict, so he also kind of passed on to me these messages that you have to be a good girl, you have to be obedient, you have to get good grades, and so on and so on. So what happens when I grow up, I work a lot and I struggle with relaxing and actually letting myself rest. It's very easy for me to work and to overwork. It's much harder for me to relax, like actually relax, not, do the relaxing activity, but relax in my mind, because I can like force myself to not work, on the weekends, but there is still this tension and this pressure and this anxiety inside the head. So that's my personal pattern. It's to always kind of be more productive and be like doing something useful and these sort of things. For example, for in our society, in like a stereotypically brought up society or family, men are usually more focused on these achievements, like career achievements, right? So they often base their self-worth on that, like how high is my salary, how high is my position in the company, and so on and so on. Then on the other hand, women are stereotypically often brought up in a way that their self-worth is based on whether they have a family, whether they have a husband, on beauty as well, right? Like, as sad as it is, women have to be pretty and men have to be strong. So it is changing in our society, luckily, but many families are still living with these values and these stereotypical, messages that they pass on. And yeah, so I think that we can have many of these little things, or not little things, but there is definitely a bigger pattern for each of us. So I would really, really invite you to, to observe that in your life, and which one is your pattern. Like, what do you base your self-worth on? And so yeah, the first step to work on that is to become aware of this pattern. And if we're not aware of something, we cannot work on it, right? If we don't know something, we cannot start working on it. But as soon as we become aware of it, we cannot unknown it. So once we recognize this pattern in ourselves, then we cannot unsee it any longer, right? So it's very important to do that. And I will give you some clues on how you can actually start doing that. And, you know, where can you actually look closer to figure this out for yourself? And for example, ask yourself, which is the area in your life where you're constantly in this competition with yourself? Like again, like maybe in the end of the day, you're like, oh, I didn't do enough today. I need to do more tomorrow. And you're just like not feeling satisfied with yourself in the end of the day. Like, what is this area where you feel that way? Another one is which one, which area do you actually often compare yourself with other people, right? So we usually compare ourselves to other people only in the area that's important for us. We never compare ourselves to others in something that we don't care about, right? Like if I'm if I'm really obsessed with my work and how much I work and how my career is doing, I'm going to look at other people and compare myself to them and be jealous maybe or envy, oh, they're doing so much better than me. I'm not, you know, I'm not comparing the fact that maybe I don't have a family and they have a family, or how much they weigh comparing to how much I weigh. But I specifically focus on comparing my career, my journey in that, like my projects or whatever, with other people's careers or salaries or this kind of thing. So, yeah, observe that as well. Where do you compare yourself with other people? In which area? That's going to be a huge clue for you to find out important information about yourself. Then the next one, which area in your life bothers you the most, like in your life? So again, maybe you have a beautiful, happy family, you have a husband and a kid, but you're not happy because your career is not succeeding in the way you want. So, which one, or the opposite, right? Or maybe you are a brilliant career woman or career man, and like you have so much achievements in that area, but you don't have a family or you don't have a romantic partner, and you constantly compare yourself to others who do, and you constantly feel not as good as them. You're not feeling like you're feeling worse than them, than other people who have this thing. So again, that's another thing that you can kind of explore. Next, yeah, again, like where do you constantly feel like you're not doing enough or you're not doing good enough? And especially if, you know, external circumstances change, but the feeling stays the same. For example, you change jobs, you actually do achieve, like realistically, things change and develop within your career, but it doesn't matter what's happening in there, you're still feeling like you're not doing good enough in there. So, what is it for you? Which area or which aspect of your life do you have something like that? You're no matter what is going on there, you're still feeling like it's not good enough. And another important thing is to explore here actually, where do you think it's coming from, right? Because to realize and recognize where it's coming from, it's also a huge step to kind of work on that. And think about how your parents raised you and what did they notice in you? What did they praise in you? So again, maybe your parents always praised you for doing like really good in sports or something. Or maybe they always praised you for uh, getting good grades in specific subjects. Or maybe they always praised you for like helping around the house. That's what they notice the most. So whatever our parents recognize in us, whatever our parents notice in us in like this, whatever they praise in us, when we are children, we receive a message that this is love. Like in order for me to get love from my parents, I need to do this thing, because when I do it, they show me love. They praise me, they hug me, they're like, well done. So to get more of that, I have to do more of that thing that caused that, right? Even if I don't care at all about getting an A at maths, but if that makes my father recognize me and give me praise, I'm gonna push harder to get those A's, right? And yeah, this is also something important to figure out, like where where exactly all these patterns are coming from for you specifically. And they usually come from our parents, but try to think about it and yeah, recognize it. All right, step 2, once we realize it, once we actually thought about these patterns, is notice. You have to learn to notice these thoughts throughout your days, right? It doesn't make any sense if you recognize the pattern, but then you keep still thinking the same things and you keep, beating yourself up and not feeling good enough every day. So you have to start noticing, and you will start noticing it more and more. And when you do, you have to stop that. Stop that voice in your head and change it to something more positive. For example, in the end of the day, you're thinking, I actually didn't do well enough. Stupid me, I didn't work enough. Or stupid me, I didn't push it here hard enough. Or whatever it is, right? The message. You're criticizing yourself and you're kind of beating yourself up for it. So stop that and change that. Change that message and tell, today I actually did the best that I could. And that's enough. I did my best. And that's exactly enough. And another thing, a little exercise that you can actually do to work on that is to, in the end of the day, actually, before you go to sleep, write down a list of things that actually went really well during that day, and actually, why are you proud of yourself, or what went well, how you succeeded that day. And these successes, they don't have to mean like the actual achievements at work. They don't have to be anything big. But maybe the success of the day is that didn't beat yourself up that day, that you actually noticed when you were really tired and you finished working instead of exhausting yourself further. Maybe that's the success of the day. So write that down, and yeah, you will see all the things that actually you do during the day and that you do well, and that will make you feel much better and you will feel good enough. The next step is focus on making yourself feel good rather than this earning your worthiness, right? Because that's what we do eventually. We're trying to earn our worthiness by doing certain things, achieving certain things. But our self-worth, it's unconditional. We are worthy just because we were born. We don't have to do anything to prove our worthiness, but we keep trying to prove it to other people and to ourselves, right? So instead, actually try to do more things that simply make you feel good enough, right? Meaning, and when I say good, feel good enough, I don't mean like the feeling of satisfaction when you accomplished this criteria or the condition that you were trying to meet, right? Like, okay, today I actually worked a lot, I exhaust myself, okay, now I feel good enough. No, that's not what I mean. I mean actually feeling good from the process of doing something, not from the result of it, right? But we're always so focused on the results that, yeah, we in the end spend all our lives, all our days doing something that we don't even enjoy. And what for? What for? If in the end of the day we're not happy, what are all these achievements for? Right? We have all these messages in our heads, like this is good. Like working a lot is good. Resting and doing nothing is bad, even though none of these things are actually good or bad. But this is how it is in our heads. And so we're trying to do things that are good all the time. But what for if we are not happy in the end? So we need to do more things. And this is a really hard one. And I say it's hard one because it is hard for me as well. It's one of the hardest things is to kind of just let go and start doing things that make you happy rather than things that you have to do, things that you tell yourself are good to do. And but yeah, it's very important to just do. And nobody's talking about like quitting the job and moving to Thailand or something like that. I mean, if you want to do that, that's also amazing. If you can do that, like why not, right? That's actually a perfect example of something that we would think is bad, quitting a job and like going to travel. But why is it actually bad? It's like amazing. It's actually something that would totally make you happy, right? But many of us would hear about something like it's like, no, I cannot do that. It's so bad. I cannot quit my job. Anyways, so yeah, we always do these things that are supposedly good, but we don't enjoy the process of many things, right? So just try to fill your life with more things that are just pleasant for the sake of doing them. And the more you do them, the happier you're going to be in the end, right? I mean, it's that simple. And it's not simple. Well, it is simple, it's not easy, as I say. But that's something, and not feeling guilty for it, that's the hardest part, because that's what in the end happens, right? When we actually do something that enjoyable, something that we want, but it doesn't, there is discrepancy between good and bad in our head, we actually feel guilty, even if we enjoyed the process of doing something. If in our head it was claimed as bad, for example, again, resting and relaxing versus working, or watching Netflix versus working. If in our heads watching Netflix in the middle of the week, it's claimed as 100% bad, and overworking and exhausting ourselves is good, and we actually enjoy watching Netflix, like we're still gonna feel guilty, and that's the problem with it. But we should do more things that actually make us feel good, rather than things that are, correct to do in our heads. I hope this makes sense. I really, really hope that I managed to bring you this message. I will try to finish it up here. So another thing that I wanted to share with you guys is that, yeah, something like this, something like topic of self-worth, it's, as I said, it's not something that can be changed and fixed after watching one video. It's not something that you can read a post about, and it's not something that you can just work for 1 week or think about for 1 week and that's it, it's fixed. This is something that's so much in the core of us. It's so deep, it's so deeply rooted. It will take, you need to work a lot on it, and it will take time and effort to work on that and to really cultivate that unconditional self-worth. And I'm really, really passionate about this topic. And this is something that I'm myself working a lot on. And this is something that I help my clients with, right? I'm an accredited life coach, if somebody is watching it and you don't know it. So I want to share with you that I want to actually create a group coaching. I want to launch a group coaching program somewhere around September. And this will be exactly like one of the main topics of that group coaching program. It will be all about self-worth and figuring out our true desires, because if we're not feeling worthy, if we don't know what we want, how can we move forward in life, right? Like we can we cannot even allow ourselves to dream or to want something because we don't feel like we're worthy of these things. That's what happens very often. We will also talk about boundaries and setting up boundaries, but first figuring out your boundaries, right? And boundaries is something that's also so directly related as well to self-worth, because if we're not feeling worthy, we're gonna let everyone cross our boundaries and we're not gonna stop them because we don't feel like we are worthy enough. We feel like other people are better somehow and they are above us. So they're allowed to cross our boundaries. Only if we raise our self worth, only if we feel like truly I'm worthy of much, much, much better things, then we can start setting up our boundaries. And that's another thing that we will be talking about. So, anyways, it will be a really, really awesome group coaching program, and it will have a very, very small group. This is something that I will be doing for the first time in my life. So it will have a massive discount comparing to a normal price later, but it will also be a very small group with limited number of spots open, right? So I will be sharing more and more information throughout August and July about this. But if you already want to, if you're already curious, send me your email at the link in the description. And as soon as I have any updates, any actual like information about program, the pricing, you will be the first to know and to secure your spot if you want to participate. You will only have 5 spots, right? It will be a very, very small group because again, this is something that I will be doing for the first time and I've never done anything like this, so it's going to be like a beta version of the actual group coaching that I will be doing later. So yeah, I really, really hope this video was useful. I really hope that I managed to explain myself and to bring this message to you guys. And yeah, about the group coaching program, also you can always, I forgot to mention that, you can always reach out to me on my Instagram. I'm actually very active in my Instagram right now. And yeah, you can always, follow me there and you will also know all the updates. And you can DM me if you want. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one.